Hey, y'all, and welcome back to whatever it is that I am doing with my YouTube channel. But I just want to run a theory by everybody. So I'm currently going through that phase of self discovery where religion is coming back up. And it is now being brought up in a way that is wanting to make me dive deeper than anything I've ever dove before. I don't know how to say it. But I was thinking about God. So first I watched this video. I'm gonna include the TikTok that I watched. And it was this couple that this man grew up in church, and his wife and him he and his wife tell a story about how he came about removing himself from religion. Um, and I think that that's the phase that I'm going through now. And I think that it's saving me. And it's also um, helping me like not go in psychosis, I think, too, as well. I feel like that's why a lot of people go into religious psychosis, and I can see why. Um, so a little background story is I was formally diagnosed with PTSD, um, major depressive disorder, and I've had a lot of I've had a lot of trauma. I've had my fair of trauma in life, as of everybody. So in therapy, I've recently started opening these wounds. And while opening these wounds, I had to really rely on something. And crazy enough, it pulled me away from God. It wasn't like it's not from anything. But anyway, so I grew up in a super religious family, um, Southern Baptist, born and raised in church, spending all Sundays in church. But the man tells his story about how when he thinks of the God he serves, because he is a Protestant, I believe, um, he thinks of the stories in the Bible, and he thinks of, based on his relationship with the God and how, we've developed it. Like, as I grew up in church, I've developed my own relationship with God while being in the church. I could have a bad relationship with the church and a good relationship with God. And I feel like for a long time, that's what I had until now. Until now, it came to like, what is this? But questioning religion, not God. Um, I start as I was going through a major depressive episode, being saved or being baptized was the only thing that I could think of that would help me. My fresh start was getting baptized. If I did something wrong, I need to get baptized because that is the only way that all the sins are going to be forgiven. And the man tells the story about how when you think of the Bible and you go into the stories like David and Goliath, where like only like 5 people were probably gay, and they say God murdered or slaughtered the whole city because of it. That's not a God that I know. My God would not do that. 5 people probably, yeah. But all of people? No. So then, I can put this down, which is so crazy. So then I started to think about like when I was little, my grandma used to tell me, or I was told that like people who did not believe, they would have to face judgment because of it, then they would have to answer. And what's so crazy is like I would always think like, oh, but why would they have to like face judgment? Like because I only know this because of what you taught me. If you didn't teach me and I didn't know, would I be in trouble as well? I always have this question. And I was just the the more blessed person to have had that guidance and that structure to be connected to Christianity. That's what I was always told. Like, be thankful that you are the one that knows it and you are the one that's going to be saved and it's not them. So he's telling the story about how like we have to in a religion we have to already think that our religion is superior than all other religions. I have to think that I am going to heaven and not a Catholic. I'm going to go to heaven first and not a Jewish person. I'm going to go to heaven first and not an atheist. But why am I granted a golden pass to heaven just because I believe in Jesus or I'm like connected to religion? Like, that's so crazy. Can I believe in God and not go to church? I used to ask my grandma that too. Oh, I used to ask that too. I'm not going to even throw my grandma under the bus because she's not the problem. She's not the problem. The church is the problem. So I used to always have this question because, like, no, I don't want to spend my whole Sundays here. Like, what if I don't want to spend my Sundays here? Is God going to be mad that I'm not here? So then I start thinking about the times in which some of my family members were sick or they were unable to make it to church and how they used to beat themselves up badly about it. Even if they miss like 15 minutes, them being late. And I'm just like, oh, is God really upset that I'm not running on time or I'm unable to make it a Sunday? What if I'm never able to make it a Sunday? What if I'm always busy? That is the busiest day for me, and I can't make it that day. And I have a busy schedule, a full time everything, to where I'm unable to make it to a place of worship to give that type of time. What if I'm unable to get my 10% in tithes of offering? What if I don't want to get baptized? What if I'm scared of water? Like, what if I do have these fears of things and God is aware of it? Am I, you know? Then that makes you really start thinking, who is this person that they made God out to be in the Bible? Is God, is the God I serve? Now, white people, white people might, those are the people that I think did it anyway. They might serve the God that destroys, because to me, that is what they are. But the God that I serve is not the destroyer of things. The God that I serve brings things alive. Woman is God, creation. That is the God that I know. Um, so then that got me thinking. Then that took me into a deeper dive. Um, into two things. It made me think more about slavery and the how we'll never truly understand the damage it has caused on us as people, the wicked, 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 wicked ways we have our ancestors suffered. When that opened the door to that, that made me think about how long of many years of that is. 400 years is a long time. Um, to just to not have no faith in anything. Yes, I too would pray. Yes, I too would pray that when this is over, I'm going to a place that is going to save me from from everything, that will let me know that maybe what I went through was was worth it. And then it tells you about religion. Then when you start looking in the Bible, slavery is in the Bible. Um, Slaves were only allowed to go to church on Sundays. Why is that the only freedom that I have? I don't have the freedom to leave. I cannot leave this plantation. I cannot not work for you. I cannot say, take me back to where I was from. But I have all the freedom in the world to go to church on Sunday. Yeah. But I'm not even upset with them. I give the most unconditional love to them, because for them, because of them, I am here and I'm able to come to light of this. Um, the next thing that it opened up was, oh, it's a lot of unpacking. Jim Jones, or whatever his name was, the whole "Don't Drink the Kool-Aid." So I did a deep dive into that. I watched a documentary on YouTube about him, and it it disgusted me so much that I had to turn it off, take a break. I had to ground myself. I had to ground myself. Even so, I watched the documentary, and it tells a story about how he was bought into religion. Someone had bought him into a Baptist church, or a Christian church, actually, a Southern Christian church. So he started going, and he goes to school. He ends up going to, or ends up being a pastor or something like that. I don't know. I don't really know his story, but y'all need to watch it. He has some type of experience to where he goes to a church, an interracial church, and he he sees that that's how he wants to have a church. Not because of diversity, but because he sees how Black people praise God versus white people. You see what I'm saying? I ain't never heard none of them pastors at them white churches up there pandering for money. No, I take that back. Peter Popoff. I take disregard that. Disregard that. Um, this is not about that. But he says that him seeing that in that church is the reason why he wanted his church segregated, because He wanted to further his mission, and that was the easiest way to do it. Then he was introduced into the Baptist way of preaching, where it is um, the theatrics, I guess they would say. You know what I'm talking about. Um, and he seen how it worked for the black population, and he wanted to incorporate that into his thing. So he took that and did that into his religion. Um, and then he did good things, like he did the soup kitchen, gave back um, to these groups, furthering his agenda though, because in doing that, he exploited the children by putting them on the corners, having them panhandle for money for the greater good of the church, building the Free People's Church. Um, then that got me thinking about my grandma. I love my grandma, and I'm gonna share her story, and I I hope that I am not in the wrong for doing so. I mean no harm in doing this. I think about the time that my grandma was writing to a kid in Africa. Um, I think about the time that my grandma was scammed by Peter Popoff. Victim. My grandma is a victim of Peter Popoff. She was donating to that man, buying his holy water. She was buying it, putting it on us. She was buying it, yes. And it broke her heart when she found out. And watching the Jim Jones documentary, my heart goes to those people. People always crack the joke of don't drink the Kool-Aid. I see now how ignorant that joke is, because those people were looking for the same savior. You know, they thought that he was helping them. They thought that they were going to be on the right history at this time. And that is so unfortunate. And it is so sad. And it just saddens me that I feel that religion is used as a manipulation technique on the Black community. I think that it is used to hold us captive, to hold us to not question, to hold us to stay in this box that is that we're so bigger than, that is not even meant to protect us. They when they taught us about Christianity, they didn't even think that Black people were going to heaven. The same people, white people, the same people. Now, who is this? Who is the people that have destroyed all the buffalo so one ethnicity will not eat? Destroyer of all things. They want God to be the most evil. Like this person that is so jealous. It can only be one. Who wants us to who wants us to believe that they are the most dominant? There is no ranking of people. We are all literally equal. All equal. But in religion, you have to believe that you are better than. And that is what it keeps you in. You have to believe that you are more different than something. And that also is what causes so much distress, because you go looking for things because you are so much different. I went looking for answers because I was depressed. Why am I depressed, God? Why if I'm made in your image, why did you make me depressed? Why are you depressed? But I'm not saying that to say anything. I'm saying that to say I'm definitely going to use this to explore religion more. If anything, I'm just going to dive deeper into like the origins of Christianity. We have to give the props due. It is, although it is a man made story, it is one of the greatest stories ever told. We have to believe that there is some type of power in the Bible because so many people believe it. The power of belief, it's what is bringing those miracles. Hmm. But yeah, so I say that to say I know there is a higher power because I'm here. I'm experiencing it. I can feel this. I'm here. I know that I'm connected to it because I'm aware and I'm here. Those two things also. And the only thing that is needed is love, unconditional love with self and everybody else. That is literally the answer. And we don't have to fit into a perfect mode. There is no perfect person. We have the free will as humans to do good or bad. Good, lending a hand to an old lady crossing the street. Bad, murdering someone, taking a life. We as humans know the moral definition of those things. There is no gray lines to good or bad because, and we have to live in a world because that's the only thing that we have is good or bad. So I'll leave that. I'll leave that as my last statement. I thank you guys for watching. And stay tuned. I feel like this is going to be like a cool little series. Not really sure where I'm going with it, but I really do just enjoy talking, and I'm grateful to be like on this quest of learning. Um, and I'm grateful that it also came with at the time that it did. I feel like I'm able to process it as I need to, and it's not a lot, especially coming from a overly religious background. I'm talking. I'll share my story on another time, but thank you guys. Bye.